Welcome to PhD with Women on It Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Jenny Cohen Derfler. Episode 48 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my motto, and empathy is critical when you are building a global medical startup. The problem is simple. When you're in somewhere sun or even closer to home in where-mania and you're feeling a bit under the water, how can you find a doctor who speaks your language? Thinking ahead with this traveler's dilemma led Jenny Cohen Derfler to create AirDoctor, an app enabling medical appointments to be scheduled across no fewer than 61 countries using a platform built in 6 languages. Forget the unicorn, the demand for medicine may take and make AirDoctor a decacorn as we travel again post COVID 19. Join us as we discuss topics and tips on building a global medical startup and get to know more about Jenny Cohen Derfler and how her 20-year career with Intel led her to her startup decade first with ElectRoad and now AirDoctor. Jenny, let's start with the question where in the world you are, because I know you've been traveling and globe-trotting quite a lot.
That's true. And Beata, thank you for having me here. And the great introduction. You describe what I am and I do, I think, better than me. So thank you very much. I am sitting now in Jerusalem, near Jerusalem in Israel. My home is in the forest of the Jerusalem Hills, in the Jerusalem Hills. And I'm talking from here, but I travel a lot, as you said. I was born a global citizen, I think. I have lived in many countries and I love to travel and discover new places and cultures all the time.
So we are mainly focusing on building global medical startup, but maybe you could tell me what was the mindset? Because I think the fact that you were not born in Jerusalem also opened your eyes a bit. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, actually, I was born in Uruguay, in South America, and I lived my childhood there. But very young, I moved to Buenos Aires, to Argentine, for a few years, working with young people over there, and from there I moved to Israel, where I started my career in the education arena, different, not technology at the beginning. For the first years, I worked with young people, street corner leaders. So I was working with kids really in the streets that they have social problems. And at a certain point, I joined Intel. And from there, I have a very long career with Intel, like almost 20 years. And with Intel, I also moved a lot. I lived 4 years in California, in Santa Clara. It's close to San Francisco. And I came back to Israel to start a manufacturing facility here. So overall, all the way in my life, I was going and living in different places with different cultures and different histories, and was everything about adjusting and understanding what is the local culture and trying to build yourself within that environment.
So in other words, you have a global mindset, but also you are building a global startup from day one. What does it mean?
Yes, it's interesting. There is something called born global. There are startups that they were born global from day one, and there are many companies that they start local. They develop a product. The product is successful locally, and then they go international, and then they develop the international phase of and you can Facebook started in a place and then develop from there. But we started, because the nature of our business, we started as a global company. So from day one, we had to recruit and find doctors all around the world. So we were going to countries one after the other, meeting local doctors and asking them, offering them to join us. So from day one, same thing like Uber or Spotify, there are a few companies that are born global. Now, if you think about that, in order to do something like this, you need a team that also can do something like that. That the team itself is people, first of all, diverse people, people with different backgrounds, people that speak different languages, people that can connect with people from different backgrounds. So from day one, I built a team for AirDoctor that includes really we have people from Portugal, from Brazil, from Argentina, from Germany, from Russia, from everywhere. I think in our team we have I don't know, I didn't never count it, but so many countries.
So we have got quite a team as well behind us. We have people watching us all over the world as well. Who are you? We've got Agata who commented. Anybody else? So tell us where you are watching us from. It's just curiosity kills the cat. It's important to be global. We are a global community of women in technology and startups, and we want you to succeed. We want to know where you are in the world. So building that global mindset was very important for your startup career. It's also quite nice to be able to travel. But what happened during pandemic?
Okay, the pandemic was a challenge, but everything that is difficult or can be perceived as a bad thing can become a good thing depending what you do with it. So what actually happened, people stopped traveling, so we didn't have end users. But our company is a B2B2C company, which means in the business world, we get our clients, end users, through other companies. So we work with insurance companies, we work with OTAs, travel agencies, hospitality, and so on. And during the COVID time, many big business and companies understood that people will travel. When the people will travel again, and people are traveling again, they will want to have a medical solution, very fast, available. We connect people to doctors within 45 minutes. A person has an appointment, or a telemedicine session, or seeing a doctor, or the doctor goes to your place, to where you are. So very fast, everybody understood that in the market, and they started to contact us, and we started to deploy our product, because deployment, is a 3, 4, 5 months business. So we started to deploy. We deployed in less than a year 16 companies. We went from 1 before the COVID to 16 after today. And so that was one thing. And the other thing is we pivot the company very fast, and we added services like telemedicine, because another thing, people don't want to go places when they are sick. So we took our own doctors. We have doctors all around the world, 71 countries today. And we offered them, do you want to do telemedicine as well? We trained them. We gave them a certificate, so we helped them to be able to do telemedicine. And now we have telemedicine in 15 languages. So for many people, you prefer to talk to a doctor sometimes. And because our doctors are all around the world, we cover 7/24. And people also can get prescriptions, even talking to a doctor in their language, but get a prescription because the doctor is in the same country. So one of the things that COVID did for us is to open new new ideas, new markets, and brought new customers.
So that's fantastic. How did you learn how to do it, though? Who brought you these ideas? How to pivot or how to start a startup?
The ideas, who brought the ideas, what to do?
Yes.
Okay, so we are 4 founders of the company, and one of the founders, he came with the original idea. He was traveling in South America for many kids in Israel after the army. After they do this army, they go and travel for a year or sometimes more. And being in Mexico, I think it was in Mexico, he needed a doctor. He couldn't find a doctor. He didn't speak Spanish. And he say, it doesn't make any sense. I can order an hamburger everywhere and say I want with cheese, without onions or whatever. But when I need to find a doctor, I cannot do it. I cannot find a doctor online. So when he came back, it happens to be my son, and he came and say, "Look, we need to do this. No one gives this service, a digital solution where I can set an appointment, read about the doctor, know the reviews that people wrote about the doctor." I thought that's a great idea, and the innovation part of the company is led by him till today. He also managed the whole interaction with doctors, the doctors network. And we started, both of us, and then 2 more partners join us. One of them, Efrat, she worked with me at Intel, and the second one is our VP R&D, Yegor. So the 4 of us together till today generate most of the ideas, the business ideas. But the company has grown a lot. Now we started 4 people. Now we are 55, 56.
That's a big team. Did you raise money for your startup?
Yes, we raised 3 rounds. Oh, okay, 2.5. The first round was the seed money of 2.5 million euro. When we started with the prototype, we had only a prototype back then, and no customers. Then we raised another 7 millions when we had already a customer and the product running with an insurance company that through them. So working with insurance means that if you have a travel insurance, you don't need to pay to the doctor. You don't need to get reimbursement or send papers or anything. Just you go and that's it, because we do it directly with the insurance. So that was our second round, and the insurance that we work with them, they were also an investor in that round. And now we are in the middle of our third round, which I cannot talk much about it, but I hope that in a few weeks we are going to be after and it will be published.
Fantastic. Keeping my fingers crossed. Now, question about that unicorn. There is unicorns and there are some other corns. Can you tell me about it?
Well, unicorns, is a company that the value of the company, the valuation is over $1 billion, and they are called unicorns. And there is something called decacorns, which is companies that the valuation is gets much more than that, 10 times more actually. The unicorns, the drive to be a unicorn is something very popular in the last years. We see a lot of companies that they are evaluated very high. I think that the most important thing is if the company brings real value. Because if the company doesn't bring real value, so that high valuations is like a balloon that will explode eventually. I do think that our company has the potential to be there someday, and not so far away, I hope.
Now, the question is because I was wondering, as a startup mentor and startup founder myself, I was wondering whether you would qualify more as an insurtech or is it medtech? Which sphere do you lie into?
That is a very interesting question, Beata, because we are in the intersection in between travel tech, insure tech, and health tech. And we are in the intersection because what we do is a digital solution for travelers, and that's the travel solution. We work with travel agencies and so and so, but a lot for insurers because we bring a huge cost benefit to insurers. And also we work with doctors, which are the providers of our services. So we are really in the intersection in between the three, which is good for us because open more possibilities and opportunities.
Absolutely. Question about how did you launch and how did you approach these doctors? Because I think it's very hermetic kind of sect of people who are too busy to really be bothered with
Oh my God,
being
yes.
getting approached by startups, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It's exactly like that. It's very difficult. So, look, some recommendation I have to everyone that wants to start something or build a startup. You need to do it yourself first. First, you need to do it and try to understand what are the problems and and experience, and through that experience you can build the best way or methods to be successful. So when we started, my partner and me, we both went to Greece. We were living in Israel, but our first country was Greece. And we say we were going to recruit the doctors there. And one of the things we understood and we went door by door, how you say, to everybody. And then we started to understand what the problems are. First, why the doctor will work with you. What is the benefit we bring to the doctors? We understood small things like in Greece, for instance, the letters are not the same Latin letters. And when we were looking, we had the address, we got to the address and there is a building and there is names and we couldn't read the names to know where the doctor is and where to ring, So we understood a lot of things that we need to put a sign or something with a name. We understood that we need to give very clear directions to the user to know how to arrive. We understood that the doctors need to have Wi-Fi in their office, otherwise they cannot work. We are an online service. All those insights happen because we were doing it ourselves. And we understood that the best is doctor recommends other doctors. We gave them incentives to do so. And all this knowledge and experience was wrapped in a methodology that we built after that, having other people doing that, not us all the time. So we develop methods for each country. In each country, we recruit the doctors in a different way. Sometimes we go through embassies that help us to connect. Sometimes we go through a local representative that she or he hired and knows the medical community. But we track very closely who are the doctors. We know them. We have their bank account. We pay them in 5 days. So they are very happy with us because we bring a private client and we pay in 5 days. So, it's an additional source of income for them. So it's a win-win solution.
Fantastic. We've got Agata Bellon commented. Thank you, Agata. I'm sorry, I was so busy with all the previous questions I had in my head. So Agata is saying, hello, ladies. Great to see another PhD. Now, let's go into Olga's question before we answer Agata's question. Olga, with a vast global opportunity, how did you prioritize which countries, regions to start with, Jenny?
So that's a great question, because really was one of the first questions we asked ourselves. So what we did, we understood that we started in 2018, and back then we saw that there is 1.4 billion travelers a year traveling around the world, but half of them, something like 670 million, travel within Europe. So we say, okay, so here we have our answer. We need to start in Europe, because we have half of the travelers of the whole world in Europe. And that was the first decision. And to choose Greece was because we wanted something close to us in Israel. We were in Israel located, so to fly there is very close, with a completely different language on purpose, so it will be more difficult, not an English-speaking country, which is easier to manage yourself. So that's the way we prioritize how to start. But today, the prioritization is different. Today, when I sign with a customers, let's say we sign a contract with Allianz in Germany, and we ask them, what are the top 10 locations your clients travel to? And we get the locations, and then we make sure we have a network, a good network on those countries. And I give you an example. We have 3 German customers, and Germans fly a lot and travel a lot to Turkey and to Egypt. At that time, we didn't have a network in Egypt. But when we sign a new customer, we know, okay, now we need to start a network in Egypt. And we did it. It took us a month and a half, but we built the network there. So today, the prioritization is where our customers go. If we sign with someone, where their customers go, and then we make sure we have the network.
Agata Bellon is asking, a great show, Beata, loving your attitude, Jenny. You mentioned what would appeal to doctors from this service. What did you find they want?
Okay, the doctors, when we start to talk to them, they don't really understand what it's there for them. But then we explain to them, we don't take from you any money. And that is very important. There are many local applications and platforms that they are for local people to set appointment with doctors, and the doctors need to pay a subscription. But because we take a commission from the transaction, we say whenever we bring you a patient, then we take our commission. So you have a price that we agree. We take a certain amount, very similar to Airbnb. We take a commission from the transaction. He doesn't need to pay, or she doesn't need to pay upfront anything. We bring a private client that usually wouldn't have seen this doctor, because the travelers don't know. I mean, if I need a gynecologist and I'm in Malta, for instance, I don't know where to go. So I will go to a hospital, let's say. And the doctors are very happy because we bring a private client. We pay very fast. They get reviews. They get the digital presence in the internet. So it's a very attractive solution for them, and a very attractive place to be.
Let me follow up on this question. There are some local solutions already. How do you go around that? For example, in Poland, we have got a platform with doctors and doctors being assessed. How do you go around that?
Actually, there are solutions, but they are similar, but they are different. The similarity is that it's a digital solution that you can set an appointment with the doctor through that solution. The difference is that this solution is built for locals. It's with a local insurance, that your health insurance is with the local doctors. For instance, Doctolib in France is for French people. Doc Planner in Poland, or Dr. Alia in Spain, there are things that they are similar in the concept, that you find a doctor and you set an appointment. The difference here that what we are doing is connecting travelers with doctors all around the world. So the traveler doesn't know the local and cannot use many times the local doctors, because you need to be associated with some kind of health system. So when you are traveling, you need to find by yourself a doctor, and you don't have that prerogative. Even if you want to use Doctolib, I won't be able to use it because I need to know French. Those platforms usually are in the local language. So in our platform, people can choose the language. You can find it in several languages, and it's built from day one for travelers, meaning that we work with insurance, and the insurance can direct you to us directly.
Patrick is making another comment. Phenomenal attention to detail from Jenny Cohen Derfler. There is a clinical focus with surgical precision to AirDoctor, he says. That's very pithy remark, Patrick. Were there any big problems you encountered building the network in specific regions or countries?
I can tell you, I can give an example where till today we don't have the best network, is Japan. For instance, Japan, we try everything, but in Japan, when you go to a doctor or wherever, you need to pay with cash. And all our agreements with the doctor is that we pay remotely. The user goes, get the service, they don't need to pay the doctors, we pay the doctors, okay? So the user or the insurer or the pay us. Now in Japan, they don't accept any remote payment. We work with Pioneer, we work with the banks, transfer, anything, nothing. They don't accept. We couldn't convince them, and doesn't exist. So you have an ATM next to the doctor office, and they will tell you, go to the ATM, get some cash. They don't accept even credit cards. So that's very difficult for us. And till today, we are trying to work through local chains there and build some service. So we have some success, but I wouldn't say that is enough.
Interesting. That reminds me of problem in Malta. Apparently, you can pay with a credit card, but usually preference goes to paying with cash. Let's go into question from In Love and in Pain. And let me just tell you, Jenny, don't worry, she's not in pain. This is her nickname, and she's been with us for a long, long time. So she's definitely good in soul and spirit and body. Hi, Beata and Jenny. Hello, and In Love and in Pain. Lovely to see you. Just wanted to know what inspires you to build AirDoctor.
Okay, I will say first that if you are in pain, you always can use AirDoctor. We will help you. But now, seriously, the inspiration is mostly our own experience. Being a traveler myself a lot, and being in other countries and sick, it happened me a few times in my life. Twice to me and one to one of my children, that they were sick. And then the stress you go through in trying to find medical assistance, and if you end in a hospital, many times it's a horrible experience, because you don't know the language. I was in Budapest and I needed a gastroenterologist because I knew what the problem is. And I went to the Google, I tried to find a doctor, and everything I was in Hungarian, and the only things in English were saying, okay, if you are a traveler, go to the hospital because you don't have any other way to find a doctor. And I went to the receptionist in the hotel, and I got she said, I will bring you a doctor because they have agreements like that. And then came a young guy doctor. I wasn't sure how proficient he is. I didn't know who he is. So basically, doing a long story short, after having a few traumatic experiences, I decided that we need to do something. This is a real need. It's a real need for people, that people travel more and more, except for the COVID. But then, people like today travel more than ever in the past 20 years. And it's required to have a place where you can find good medical assistance. So that was what inspires me, actually, my own experience.
Beautiful to know that you had experience that inspired you. I wanted to ask you about what you said about your main gift being a curse. Uh, is my curiosity. It's a gift and a curse. Can you tell me why is it a curse?
I didn't understand your question with what is a gift or a curse.
My main gift and curse are my curiosity.
Ah, okay. Oh, you read that in an article. I said that. Yes,
There you
it's
go.
well, it's very easy to explain what is a gift, why is a gift. Because I am so curious about things. I want to understand always. I want to understand how things work. So, over my career in technology, every time that someone told me that something is impossible, I say, no, no, no. How does this work? And I will ask questions and more questions. I want to understand how the things happen, how this machine operates, how this. So, what is the chemistry of this problem or whatever? And always that curiosity to understand more, to know more. Helped me a lot in my career to develop, to be successful. Um, and the curse part is because sometimes when you are so curious that you want to understand something, you defocus. If you realize people that they are very high, very one-sided of things and very narrow, but they go deep, many times can get very, very far away. When you are looking at everything, you want to understand, you want to, I like to paint a little bit, and I want to play an instrument a little bit, and I want to dance a little bit, and so that is the part that occurs in some way.
Hmm. So, question, how do you keep yourself on the track, not having too many windows or tabs on your browser open and focus on delivering great product?
I am very results oriented. I measure everything I do or other people do by the results, not by the intention or not by the amount of effort put in the work. What is important for me is what came out from my effort or my time or my resources. So I can be very focused on something, and what I finish, I can be very open to do something else. And I think that that's a skills that many women have. We are multitasking. When you have a children or you have a family, you need to do many things at the same time, and you manage to do it pretty well. So I always felt that they can do more than walk and chew gum at the same time and be very successful in both. So I think that is coming from there, that the ability to focus, finish something, and then move to the next thing.
Beautiful. I'm very results oriented. I love this quote. Jenny, next question. We know that today, I think, hiding under the under the bushmill or somewhere there is Dr. Julie, and Dr. Julie probably would ask you, "How do I join your network, Jenny?"
Okay, so to all doctors that are listening to this, you are invited to join. If you go to our webpage, which is air-dr.com, you will see that there's a doctor's page. You can go to the doctor's page, and there you can register yourself, and someone from our team will contact you and make the all the required questions. We will need to have your license and documentation proving who you are and what you know. But it's today we have a lot of doctors joining us and coming to us. At the beginning, we look for the doctors. Now the situation is reversing, which is good for us. So you are invited to join wherever you are in the world.
Absolutely. So you told me also before we joined this call about how you as a mentor contribute to building a global ecosystem for whether it's startup founders or whether it's other women who are at the beginning of the career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, actually, one I always was very ambitious and always wanted to get to the next level. And always I said I was trying to function in the next level, even if I wasn't appointed yet for it. And eventually that brought me to the next level. Um, I did it because the challenge is what is important for me, is what keeps me moving. New things, new challenges, things that I haven't done before. But together with that, I manage a huge organization, a factory, a Intel factory, with almost 3,000 people around working in the company. Um, 80% men, 20% women. You can understand that it's a very unique situation. And when I was going up the scale and getting to more and more responsibilities within that organization, I understood that there is a factor that being a woman managing a man in a technology environment is not trivial and it's not easy, and sometimes has some difficulties. So for me, it was important always to mentor women around me, and the way for me to mentor is by example. I think that you can talk to women about how to build your career, how to combine a family and kids and career, but you can show them, and that is much more. Um, the impact is much higher when you see someone, a role model, someone that did it, someone that could actually do a career and grow a family in a successful way. Unfortunately, I lost my husband to terror when my kids were pretty young. He was young too, but was a very sad situation. And I found myself in the middle of my career with two young kids, one 9, one 14, um, being a single mom now, and how to continue. And I think that the ability to combine family, to be for them when they needed me, but together with that being very efficient in my work environment, helped me a lot. Together with that, all the women around me, they saw that. They saw how I do it. And I am being an example is the way that you influence society more than anything.
Beautiful. I love this beautiful story of yours. Living in a startup nation comes with things like terror attacks, so it's quite difficult times. How did you cope with that? You had a big career, and all of a sudden, your life went into a turmoil.
Well, the things with terror is that it's a sudden thing. It's a sudden thing that from now to the next moment, a person disappear from your life. And first of all, the Israeli society is very extremely supportive. People at my at work at Inter were with me all the way through and supporting and helping, and the schools and the neighbors and everybody else. So that helps a lot. Together, you become more effective. For instance, I realized that I cannot do everything, so I need to pay for services. I need to buy food more often ready. I need to order food through the internet or through the phone, and not go to the supermarket and spend 1 hour and a half there, because I have the kids at home and I prefer to spend that time with them. I need to hire help to clean, to do the laundry, to do. So you pay for help that allows you to free time to be with your kids, and to spend whenever they need you to be there. um, I see
Were
that
you at?
economically speaking is a long-term investment. I'm investing
Uh,
money now to keep my career going, and at the same time keep the family going.
Fantastic story. Thank you very much, Jenny, for sharing that with us. I was wondering how you evaluated your startup. Have you had some experience working with another startup before?
Yes, I actually, after I left Intel, I wanted to. Intel was a big, it's a corporate, it's a
Yeah.
different kind of work environment, and I was looking for a new challenge. I joined a Better Place, which was a startup in the area of electrical cars, and I worked for Better Place for a year and a half. I learned a lot there. It was the best school ever on how to raise money, how to work with investors, how to create something new. And when I left Better Place, I started my own startup with other two founders, developing a technology that actually, through induction, charges the batteries of buses. And is wireless. The wires are on the asphalt, on the floor. So we started that company, which is still running. And after 3 years there, I decided this idea of AirDoctor came to my table. At this point, I already have the experience of how to raise money, how to build a plan, a prototype, how to develop the technology and get to customers. So when I started AirDoctor, all that experience accumulated over the years helped me to make this successful.
So, would you advise for somebody who is dreaming about launching their startup to join an existing startup or just look for resources and start whatever idea they might have?
I really think that joining an existing startup first will shorten significantly the learning, the time, and improve the learning curve, because actually you will see what are the difficulties. We will learn some things, and then you can really run when you have your own idea much faster. I think that the most important thing, but that I will say, is that to choose the right partners. I think that
Mm.
many startups rise and fell based on the teams. The teams, you can have a great idea, but that's not enough. That's not enough to be successful, because what if your idea is so, or there are difficulties, or corona like happened to us, you need to be able to change, and a good team, a good partners, they will find together the ways to change, to adapt, to adjust. If you have partners that they are not with you in the same pace or the same vibe, I will say, it's very difficult to confront the hard times. So I think that choosing the right people that complement you and that they are different, but they are with you in your approach and your uh, desires is the most important thing when you start a startup.
Very useful remark. We've got Agata Bellon sitting and waiting. Sorry, Agata, for ignoring your very vital question. Agata is asking, great show. Is your network just general practitioner doctors or also specialists and dentists, Jenny?
Well, actually, there are 5 specialties that usually travelers need the most. One is GPs, general practitioners. The second is pediatricians. Then we need and we have dentists. Is the third one. Orthopedic doctors and gynecologists. Those 5, in order to launch a country and to say that we have a network in the country, we need to make sure we have those 5 with enough doctor in each one in all the tourist locations, all the travelers locations. So only when we cover those 5 in all those places, we say that we launch a country. Now, in addition to those while we are looking for them, we find other doctors that want to join. We have ENTs, we have dermatologists, we have other doctors and specialties, but those are the 5 basic one that is the core.
Beautiful answer. Thank you very much. It's interesting how you develop your network, focusing on certain areas, including pediatricians, because every majority of people travel with their shouting little kids or very timid ones, like Marianne's Madera's little niece or nephew. We have a question from her. Marianne is saying, "Hello, Jenny. You're truly an inspiration. I love your website platform and I will suggest it to my family and friends. Wish you and AirDoctor all the best." So, knowing Marianne, my question would be, are you already in Philippines?
In the Philippines, we have some doctors, but we don't say that it's one of the countries that we have a full network, because we don't have enough. So, Marianne, if you have doctors or your own doctors, just please suggest them to join our doctor. We actually want to grow in the Philippines. It's becoming a very attractive location for tourism. And so we know we need to develop ourselves much more there. But we are in other parts of Asia too. We are in Vietnam. We are in China. We are even far in Australia and New Zealand. So we are in many other locations in Asia where we would like very much to have more doctors from the Philippines.
So it's going to be a perfect year of a tiger to launch
Right.
new doctors, launch new areas on AirDoctor. We have another comment from Agata Bellon. But chill, Beata, not feeling ignored. It's such a great show again today. Thank you. You always find awesome guests. It's actually Racy who reached out to you and was kind enough to recommend you as a great speaker. So we are coming to the end of our show, and I've got a couple of personal questions that I always like to ask. Like, for example, what is the number one book you think, gosh, I read it before I started my career?
That's an easy one, because there is a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen Covey. I don't know if you know it, Beata.
No,
I think
tell
that
me.
it's amazing. It's when you go through I happen to be living in California and went to a workshop that Stephen Covey himself delivered, and was amazing because influenced a lot my career, but influenced my whole life, my whole way of looking at the problems and looking at things in a much effective way. So I really recommend, if someone haven't read the book yet, so to try and put to find the book and read it. It's for management, but it's also for your own life. Very good book.
If you're result oriented, that's definitely something you need to start with. What would you say are the top 5 skills all career driven females, in your opinion, should have?
Multitasking is one of them. I think I don't I don't know if top skills, but something I learned working in an environment that was men dominated for many years. At the beginning it was very difficult until someone told me a very wise words to say, and she told me, "You don't need to be like them or the same or behave like a man to be successful in that environment. You need to use your woman skills to be successful. It's your sensitivity to people, the ability to have this intuition that help you to understand what the other side actually wants or needs." And I think that is the skills. It's something that we have with us, so we need just to put it to work in the work environment.
And remember to talk about what you're doing because there is a community out there, there is a network, and your network has a network. So it's much easier to become a global startup, a global medical startup, like in the case of Jenny. Another question, if, for example, let's say there is a medical professional who's looking at you and thinking, how can I start my startup? What should be the first 10 steps I should do before launching it?
I think first you need to understand really the market. You need to find what is already out there. Many people have great ideas, and when you check a little bit, you find that there are already 10 different similar products in the market. So first of all, you need to really look around the world and see what is out there already, and then to understand that your product has some uniqueness, something, some value that can offer. That's the second thing. But I think that not less important is to do a real financial analysis and understand that you can generate enough revenue from your product to keep growing. So even if the revenue will take 10 years, but there is a market and there is a business model, which is a clear business model, how you get to profitability at a certain point. And I think that that's the first steps. And then you need to build a team, the right team with the right abilities. Many times when you are a startup, you don't have much resources or much money. So you need to think very carefully, who are you want to hire at the beginning? And that is the minimum required to do something successful. So I will think that the steps are more or less about market, right business model, right team. I will add
That's,
one more: a good lawyer.
yes, a
A
good
good,
lawyer.
a good lawyer from the beginning. He agreed to work without payment for a year and a half, without payment for a year and a half, because he believed in us. And it's a lot of things you need to do when you start a new company, legally speaking. So that's another important one.
That's another important one. Hopefully, you can offer some shares in exchange for free of charge help. We've got a comment from Mary. Hi, Beata, great show. Jenny, the idea behind AirDoctor is genius. Mary, thank you so much for your kind words. We really appreciate you chipping in at the last minute. Now,
Thank you,
let's
Mary.
ask. Thank you. Let's ask you about your life lesson quote and how did it change you?
Well, it's something that I got from my mentor, was actually my manager at Intel for many, many years. A great manager. I always say that it's like the fakir. I learned with him to be very strong and very results oriented. And he would always say something that I really took to myself. You need to you wake up in the morning, and the first thing you do, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you need to like what you are seeing there. So basically, I want to look at myself in the mirror every day, every morning, and like who I see there. So I need to behave and build my life, my company, my work environment in the way that I think that is right, with integrity, doing the right things, even if they are not popular many times, or they don't, and not always are the best business decision, but it's the right decision. So I do believe that is my quote.
That's beautiful mantra, very useful if you are joining us next week for Break the Chain of Dieting with Dr. Medansky, David Medansky. We are going to be again live next week at 6 p.m. CET. Wherever in the world you are, join us and listen to self-acceptance speech from Dr. David. But stay with us, bear with us, because we've got a last question to ask, Jenny. Imagine the pandemic is over and you can take any person in the world to have face-to-face breakfast anywhere in the world. Who would you pick and where would you go to?
Well, where to go? I like picnics. I like to go to the forest. I have a picnic. And I think I will invite uh, one of the customers that we really save them. And there are some cases like that. And
Mm.
just sit with them and talk about their experience.
Which customer it is, if we can
Usually,
mention?
yes, there is. I have something in mind. There is a mother with a baby that she was in Netherlands. The baby was like very high fever. She was desperate, and we were with her for a few days, helping her all the way through. And I think that the experience of, I think that there's nothing more fulfilling than helping other person that you don't even know, or and it's in the other side of the world. So that's my person.
That's your person, and that speaks lots of volumes of your empathy. So, empathy is also your motto, I can tell. How difficult it was for you to work during the pandemic? I mean, speaking about empathy.
Well, it's very difficult because you don't meet with the people. A lot was through Zoom, but amazingly, we signed contracts with customers that we never met. Something that you wouldn't think before you can do it, and we did it during the pandemic. But still, feels very very good now to go to the office and meet with the people, and now I am traveling again. I was in Germany, I was in London, I was in US, and to meet the people and do things directly is another story. It's human relations always much more fulfilling.
Much more fulfilling is to be connected with people, to have these human relations. And that's it for episode 48 of PhD Positivity Hacks delivered by uh, our lovely guest Jenny Cohen Derfler. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Women on It and turn on notifications to be alerted once a video has been released. Jenny, we wish you all the success. We are going to be in touch, recommending some doctors shortly.
Thank you
And
very much.
finally,
Thank you very
thank
much,
you.
Beata. Thank you for having me here.
As always, our positivity quote comes from Positive Thinking Only and goes, look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude, as Maya Angelou says. Today is your day to hug the future, hug the positivity you want. And thank you very much for our lovely audience. In Love and in Pain, Agata Bellon, Olga Vansina, Patrick Young, Marianne Madera, and Secret Mary, and also this lovely client of yours, Jenny. Thank you.